All right, so in this video, I'm going to talk about my tax situation. This isn't something that I'd normally cover in the past. I would just do a 1040 with your typical deductions for home mortgage interest as well as property taxes and things of that nature. But with all the changes I've had in my life and what I plan on doing this year, it has become something that I've thought a lot about. I've started to do research on it. I've started to read the tax code. And yesterday I met with a CPA. So CPAs are not cheap, especially the ones that are not a box filler inner. So I'm looking for somebody who can look at my lifestyle, look at my income, and tell me this is what you can do within the tax code. Staying within the box, not going outside the box. I don't want to be triggered for an audit. You're always susceptible to being randomly selected, but even if I'm selected, I want to be able to prove out everything that I do when it comes to taxes. That was the reason that I met with the CPA, which I knew would be expensive. I did not think it was going to be as expensive as it is, but I'm looking right around $600 for the different schedules that I'm going to have him do for me, as well as the regular 1040 for my W-2s and the house mortgage and things of that nature. But next year, when I get into renting this place out, that is another schedule that I'm going to have to pay for. And I'm looking for somebody who can steer me in the right direction. Even with the things that I've watched on YouTube, the tax code that I've read, there's a lot out there that I don't completely understand, and I really don't want to leave money on the table. Now, paying $600 for somebody who doesn't have a steady job, that is a lot of money, obviously. But I expect to get that back in return with the knowledge that he provides me. I sat with him for 45 minutes yesterday, and he walked me through the do's and the don'ts and what I can do based on my income last year and what I should expect for my income this year. And he actually steered me away from something that I thought I could do. And if I was doing my own tax software, I probably would have figured out a way to do it. But he told me that had changed in 2018. And I could no longer do that, but he did open some doors of things that I wasn't thinking about. And for the people that have a YouTube channel or a small YouTube channel, and just a quick disclaimer, this is not anything that you should run with. Definitely talk with a CPA or do your own research. But for my situation, I've found out that since I did get a 1099 and since I am making my own income outside of the beet harvest, which I got a W-2 for, I am a sole proprietor, and that means that there is a vast area of the tax code that I can now step into. So even with this YouTube channel, there are areas that I did things or I drove certain places just for this channel, and unbeknownst to me, I can actually look at ways to get tax deductions for those changes. Like the laptop I just bought, it was a relatively cheap one, but it was the only way that I could make the videos that I did on my favorite camp spots and take old footage. So that was only for YouTube. So that's something that I can potentially write off. There were certain places that I went just because I was looking for content, not necessarily because of where I wanted to go. And so I can also now look at mileage for certain stuff. Now, I'm not going to get crazy. I drove 30,000 miles, but a vast portion of that was for me personally. So I'm not going to be expensing 20,000 miles or anything like that. But there are areas that I can look at and that luckily I did keep some records for that are now open to me, and I can use that to offset my YouTube income. But again, this is new to me, so don't just take that with a grain of salt. But that's why I'm going to work with the CPA and figure out the do's and the don'ts and get the most out of everything that I can when it comes to the tax code. I'm not a big fan of the fact that it is so complicated, and I do technically have the time to try to bob and weave through it on my own, but with so much at stake and with so much to learn, it's just better if I put that investment where it should be and work with somebody on this. So for 2019, I had my W-2 from my job that I quit, my corporate job. I was there for a couple of months. I have my W-2 from the beet harvest, and then I'm going to get a 1099 from YouTube. And then there are a couple other little things in there that I might look at. We're going to actually talk about whether or not it's worth paying him to dive into a couple of other small areas, like renting out my place for the 7 months that I was gone. But when it comes to 2020, I'm again going to be getting the W-2 from the beet harvest, that's no big deal. But now I'm stepping into rental property territory where I'm going to have a property manager to rent this place out. I'm completely moving out of it, and I'm going to rent it out. So I want to make sure that I use the tax code to my advantage when it comes to that, and make sure that, again, I stay within the boundaries. So that's something that I need him to help me with. And then again, the YouTube 1099, that is a area that I really need to explore. And it's not my sole income. It no way could it be at this point in time, or probably ever, but it's something that I'm going to continue to do as a side income that could disappear any day. I understand that. And already this year, as a matter of fact, I've noticed the ad revenue has changed. And if I take videos that I've released this year and compare them to the exact same stats of videos from last year, my income on those videos is really down. So something must have changed within that category. It's probably because everybody and their brother, mother, cousin, like me, has a YouTube channel for overlanding or for camping or for traveling. And as that becomes saturated on YouTube, the ad revenue goes down, which is why a lot of your entertainment YouTube people will get millions of views and they're not quite making as much as you think they are, because whereas I was getting approximately $8 to $9 in some cases CPM, that is now fallen down to probably the $6 range. And for people in the entertainment side, that is even smaller. I've watched some YouTube channels where they're only making like $2 to $3 per for the CPM, which is still good money when you're getting millions of views. But for somebody like me, I'm lucky that I'm in a segment that still pays a higher CPM, because I only get so many views per video. So I'm kind of counting on that. So even though I can't rely on YouTube for my sole income, and like I said, it can disappear at any time, it is something that I'm going to be taxed on, and I'm going to be taxed at a pretty decent rate because I'm not paying any taxes on that. There's no Social Security taken out yet, no Medicare, as I understand it. So I've got to pay out all that, and then I've also got to pay out the federal tax and the North Carolina tax. So whatever I can utilize to write that off. So say I earned a couple of $1,000s and I can get that down to $500 by things that I did specifically for this channel, then that's going to be to my advantage. Now, I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't know exactly what that's going to be. But think about that if you do have a YouTube channel, even if it's a small one making any kind of monetary funds, that it's something that you too can do, because your small business does not have to be a profitable business. It can be a flailing business and something that you're trying to grow, which is something that I'd like to do. It's, roll of the dice, and lightning has to strike in order for it to really take off. And it comes with good content too. I understand that. But I digress a little bit. It is something that everybody should consider, and it's not just for YouTube, it's for any small business that you are trying to start or trying to get off the ground, or you're just kind of eking along. If you're trying to grow that business and you're trying to get that as part of your income, then it is something that you need to consider, and you really need to do your research and find out how the tax code can benefit you, or how you can get the most out of the tax code, I should say, because it's not really benefiting anybody. It is complicated, it's a mess, and the whole goal is to keep as much as they possibly can in their own pockets. So, but that's the reason that I'm talking about this video. That's kind of what I wanted to cover with next year and everything that I'm doing with the YouTube 1099. And also something that I left out is my buddy is going to hire me to work on his lake house in Texas. So that he is going to be able to deduct on his taxes as rental property improvement, and I'm going to be able to roll that into my income, as well as what did it take for me to get there, to live while I was there, and that is part of what I need to survive this year. And I'm hoping to pick up other things along those lines as well. So with even trying to get my feet on the ground and figure out what I'm doing, I'm going to keep track of all this stuff, and I'm going to work with the CPA and say, can I do this? Can I do that? And then he'll reach out to me and let me know that, hey, I see something, and this is something that you should be considering, or something that you need to start tracking. So it's going to take a lot more time this year for me. I probably am going to miss out on some stuff last year because I didn't keep good receipts. I didn't keep good notes for everything that I can think of. But I do have some, and I'm going to start digging through that and doing my research. And it is time consuming, but it's something that I want to do. It's something that I'm going to do. And I'm going to start working with the CPA and doing that. So this is Sorry for all the rambling, but it's something that I wanted to cover, something that I wanted you to also be aware of as to, what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to my small channel. And hold on, buddy. But also, hopefully this helped you out a little bit, and it's just some things to think about, maybe some questions to ask somebody or some stuff to start researching, whatever it might be. So hopefully you found this useful. Obviously, I'm sure there's going to be questions about the tax code, or maybe there's people out there that says you can do this or you can do that. No, I cannot write off the Jeep, and actually, I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about that mileage. What I have learned is if you are traveling in a vehicle for a job and for your income, you can either get mileage for that, not personal miles, but it would have to be towards your business, or you can take maintenance and gas, I think, but you can't do both. You can only do one or the other. And I read somewhere, and you'd have to do your own research on this, that if you do take maintenance 1 year, that you have to do that every year. You can't switch back and forth on whatever's going to get you the most money back. But for me, it just makes sense to do mileage, because I do put a lot of miles on this, and there are quite a few miles that I put on for content, places that I'll go because I think it'll make a good video, but maybe I wouldn't have went to otherwise, or I probably wouldn't have went to otherwise. So just something to think about as well. But anyway, now I'm just rambling. I apologize about that. Leave your comments below. If you have any ideas or things that I should be considering, go ahead and do that. Like I said, I am not going to stretch the tax code. I'm not going to get crazy. I want to stay well within the boundaries, and I don't want to get purposely audited. I want it to be a chance encounter, and then I can just back it up with whatever information I have to validate it. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like or unlike button, and I'll talk to you later.